Fentanyl is killing Americans at record rates. Many of them didn't know they were taking the deadliest drug our country has ever seen. They didn't know how drug traffickers mix fentanyl in cocaine, in heroin, and in methamphetamine. They didn't know that the prescription pill they bought from a dealer on social media was fake and actually contained fentanyl. And they didn't know that just one pill can kill. But we at the DEA know that this is happening. And now you do too.
The debate around legalizing drugs has been ongoing for decades, with some arguing that legalization could reduce crime rates, generate tax revenue, and stimulate economic growth. But let me just take a moment to preface that drug use is a controversial issue that affects numerous individuals, families, and communities worldwide. It's a difficult topic to cover with many social and legal nuances that are much too complex to cover within this video. Though, through a very distilled point of view, I'll utilize the economic theory of supply and demand to analyze the impact of legalizing drugs on our economy, including some of its potential benefits as well as some of its potential drawbacks. While drug use definitely has negative consequences on public health and safety, the war on drugs has proven itself to be much, much worse.
Public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse.
For the past 4 decades, the core strategy has been no drugs equal no problems, so almost all of the efforts in the past 4 decades have been focused heavily on eradicating the supply of drugs and incarcerating drug dealers and traffickers.
It's easy money, till we catch you.
However, all of this ignores the most fundamental law of economics, which is supply and demand. The economic theory of supply and demand states that the price of a good or service is determined by the intersection of the supply and demand curves. In the case of drugs, the supply is controlled by the drug traffickers who operate in a black market, while the demand is generated by individuals who are willing to pay for these illicit drugs. The illegal nature of drug use creates a substantial barrier to entry for suppliers, which in turn lets cartels cash in on the opportunity to make billions in profit. Legalizing drugs would remove this barrier, reducing the costs associated with the supply, which would ultimately lead to a decrease in drug prices and better regulation. However, with the supply of drugs being controlled by cartels around the globe, they are raking in serious cash despite the ongoing war on drugs. Here's a little story for scale that demonstrates how much cash the cartels make, as well as how seriously the United States takes the war on drugs.
Not in generations has Wall Street absorbed the number of body blows it took today.
The American financial system is rocked to its foundation as top Wall Street institutions topple under a mountain of debt.
The global financial system was in crisis. Many banks were on the brink of financial collapse, and they couldn't raise any capital to bail themselves out. Guess who stepped in to help out? You guessed it. The global financial system was saved from collapse by cartels propping up several key international banks with $352 billion of illegal drug profits. I'm not making that up. That comes directly from the head of the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime at the time, Antonio Maria Costa. The potential benefits of legalizing drugs are numerous, though. By taking the means of production and distribution away from the cartels, one of the most significant benefits is the potential for generating hundreds of billions of dollars worth of tax revenue. Furthermore, legalizing drugs could reduce crime rates and lower the burden on both the criminal justice system and taxpayers alike by reducing drug-related arrests and incarcerations. In a 2018 study done by the Cato Institute, the legalization of all drugs would result in a roughly $107 billion in annual budgetary gains for federal, state, and local governments. Additionally, legalizing drugs would also stimulate economic growth by providing hundreds of thousands of new job opportunities within the legal drug industry. Despite the potential benefits of legalizing drugs, there would also be significant drawbacks to consider. One of the main concerns is the potential increase in drug use, particularly among vulnerable populations such as youth and those with addiction issues. The negative health consequences of drug use could lead to increased healthcare costs and a strain on the healthcare system. Additionally, legalizing drugs could lead to an increase in drug-related accidents and fatalities, which could negatively impact public safety. In conclusion, legalizing drugs has the potential to impact the economy in several ways, including generating tax revenue, reducing crime rates, and stimulating economic growth. However, the drawbacks of legalizing drugs, including an increase in drug use and negative health consequences, must also be considered. Ultimately, though, the decision to legalize drugs should be made through a careful weighing of the potential benefits and drawbacks, with a focus on the most effective ways to address the issue of drug use, all while prioritizing public health and safety. That is all. Thank you and good night.